No. I was 24 years old, and everything changed. I thought this was normal. My mother lived this way. Her mother did too. And nobody ever questioned it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. My mother never said it either. 3 months later, I finally tried something. And what happened next, I never expected. Have you ever heard a woman say no and felt it change something inside you? Not a big, dramatic no. No, not a fight. Not a woman screaming or crying or making a scene. Just a quiet, ordinary no. Said simply, the way you say, "I don't want coffee," or "I'll pass on dessert." That kind of no. Small, calm. I was 24 years old the first time I heard it. I had been married for 3 years. And when that woman said no, so easily, so naturally, like the word cost her nothing at all, something inside me went very still. Because I had never heard that word used that way before. Not in that context. Not by a woman like me. Not in a way that suggested the word was simply available. That it was just sitting there, in any woman's mouth, ready to be used whenever she needed it. Not in a way that suggested the word was simply available.
Right.
That it was just sitting there, in any woman's mouth, ready to be used whenever she needed it. Did not know that. I thought the word no in that particular situation belonged to other people. Not to me, not to us. My name is Leah. I grew up Old Order Amish in a district in central Ohio. I left when I was 26. This channel, Beyond the Bonnet, is where I say the things the women around me never got to say. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. Hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps this reach the women who need it most. And I want to ask you something. Right now, before this video goes any further, when was the last time you said no and truly believed you were allowed to? Think about that while I tell you this story. Because what I am about to tell you is not just an Amish story. It is a story about a word. Because what I am about to tell you is not just an Amish story. It is a story about a word that some of us were given early and some of us were never given at all. And the difference between those two groups of women is bigger than most people realize. I need to take you back to the world I grew up in. Not to explain the whole thing, I could talk for hours and still not explain the whole thing. Just one part of it. The part that matters for this story. In the community I came from, the word no, as a wife, did not really exist. Not for everything. You could say no to a second piece of pie. You could say no to a neighbor who asked to borrow your good pan. Those kinds of no's were fine. But there was one place where no did not live. One place where the word had simply never been put. And that place was inside a marriage. Between a husband and a wife. In the private part of married life that nobody talked about and everybody understood. And no one, not your mother, not your sister, not the older women who had been married for 20 years, ever once gave you a word for. You did not say no there. Not because someone told you that directly. Nobody sat you down and said, "Leah, in this part of your marriage, no is not a word you are allowed to use." It was simpler than that, and more complete. The word just was not there. It had never been placed there. Not in anything you heard, not in anything you were taught, not in anything you watched the women around you do. The word no, the way chairs exists or mourning exists, it was simply absent, a gap where something should have been. And when something has been absent your whole life, you do not miss it. You do not know to miss it. You just live around the gap, the way water not because you choose to go around it, but because the rock has always been there, and going around it is simply the only direction available. That is how I lived for the first 3 years of my marriage. Around the gap. I need to tell you about the English woman. Her name was Carol. She was maybe 45, 50. She had short hair and a kind face. And she ran the small shop near the edge of our district where I sometimes went to buy thread. We were not friends. We were not even close to friends. But she was always easy to talk to in that particular English way. Warm, open, no hidden meaning in anything she said. One afternoon, I was in her shop, longer than usual. A delivery had come in late. Carol was on the phone with her husband while I waited. I could hear both sides. On speaker, reorganizing a shelf. At the same time, her husband was asking her something. I did not catch exactly what. Carol's answer was immediate, easy, without a pause. Her husband was asking her something. I did not catch exactly what. But Carol's answer was immediate, easy, without a pause. She said, "No, I don't want to do that tonight. I'm tired. Maybe tomorrow." And then she laughed at something he said. And then they said goodbye. And then she put the phone down and kept organizing the shelf. She did not know what she had just done. I stood at her counter and I paid for my thread and I walked out to the buggy. My hands were completely still. Because in 40 seconds, Carol had done something I did not know was possible. She had said no, in that specific context, with that specific person, and her husband had laughed, and she had laughed, and they had moved on. I sat in that buggy, and I felt something I did not have a name for yet. I want to tell you what the feeling was, because it was not simple. The first layer was confusion, pure and immediate, like watching someone do something physically impossible and not being able to process it. She said no. He accepted it. They were fine. How was that possible? Where had she learned that? Who had given her that? Under the confusion was something else. Something that took me longer to identify. Something that sat in my chest all the way home. And was still there when I started making dinner. And was still there when I went to bed that night. I lay in the dark and I finally named it. It was grief. Not for Carol, for myself. For 3 years of marriage during which that word, said that simply, at that cost, had not been available to me. Not because my husband had taken it. Not because someone had stood at the door of my marriage and said, "Leave this word outside." But because the word had simply never been put in my hands in the first place. Nobody had stolen it from me. Nobody had to. It had never arrived. And under the grief, and this is the part that surprised me most, was something I did not expect. It was anger. Not the hot, loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind that sits down inside you and does not make noise, the kind that waits. I lay in the dark and I was quietly, completely angry. Not at my husband, not at the community, not at any specific person. At the gap. At the space where the word should have been. At the fact that Carol had been handed something at some point in her life, by her mother, or by the world she grew up in, or simply by the accumulated understanding that women are allowed to have preferences, and I had not. And neither had my mother. And neither had her mother before her. The word had been absent for a very long time. Let me go back one more time. Let me tell you what I watched growing up. I watched my mother. Every day of my childhood, I watched her. She was a good woman, careful, capable, faithful, devoted to her family in a way that was complete and real. And I watched her never say no. Not in that context. Not once. I watched her be tired and still be present. I watched her be unwell, quietly, in the way Amish women are unwell, without complaint and without making it anyone else's problem, and still be present. I watched her navigate every other part of her life with a quiet competence that I admired enormously. And in this one part, She did not navigate. She did not decide. She did not exercise preference or judgment or choose from a set of options, because in this one part, she had not been given options either. She had been given what I had been given, what her mother had given her, what her mother's mother had given before that, a gap where a word should have been. I did not understand this as a child. I thought this was simply what women were, this particular combination of capable everywhere and wordless here. I thought it was the shape of womanhood, the natural way of things. I watched my mother be that shape, and I became it too, without anyone asking me to, without anyone needing to ask. I want to tell you what happened after the day in Carol's shop. Not immediately, not dramatically. It was not like a door flying open. It was slower than that, and smaller, and more private. But something had unlocked, because I had seen it now. I could not unsee it. Carol had shown me, without knowing she was showing me anything, that the word existed, that it lived in some women's mouths like any other ordinary word, that it could be used without damage, without consequence, without the world ending. It was there. It had always been there. I just had not been given it. And once I understood that, once I held the fact that my not having was not natural, not inevitable, not simply the way women were, something changed in the quality of the gap. It stopped feeling like the shape of things. It started feeling like an absence. And an absence, unlike a shape, can be filled. 3 months after the day in Carol's shop, I used the word for the first time. Not loudly, not with an explanation, not with a fight or an argument or a long conversation about what I had witnessed in an English thread shop and what it had done to me. I just said it, quietly, simply, the way Carol had said it, like the word cost me nothing. Because the truth is, the thing I want you to hear more than anything else in this video, the truth is that it did not cost me anything. The world did not end. My husband did not fall apart. The marriage did not crack. The word just sat there in the room, having been said, ordinary and real and completely survivable. And I thought, it was always this simple. It was only the gap that made it feel impossible. I want to say one clear thing. A community that raises its daughters without putting the word no in their mouths is not protecting them. It is removing something from them before they are old enough to know what is being taken. It does not need to be dramatic. It does not need to be cruel. It just needs to be consistent. Generation after generation of women who were never handed the word, who raised daughters without handing it to them, who watched their daughters marry without putting it in their hands. That is not tradition. That is a gap that was kept empty on purpose. And the daughters born into it never missed the word because they never knew it was supposed to be theirs. My mother did not give me the word, but she gave me everything else she had. She gave me mornings that started before sunrise. She gave me hands that know how to work. She gave me the particular strength of a woman who has never once asked anyone to feel sorry for her. She gave me what she had. What she had did not include the word, because nobody gave it to her either. I am not angry at my mother. I am angry at the gap. Those are two different things. And I have spent a long time learning to hold them separately. I think about Carol sometimes. She has no idea what she did for me. She handed me my thread and said sorry for the wait and went back to her shelf. A completely ordinary Tuesday afternoon. But I was sitting in a buggy outside her shop holding 40 seconds that had changed the direction of something inside me. The word was always there. It was just never put in my hands. If nobody put it in your hands either, I want you to have it now. Not from me. It was always yours. I am just telling you it exists. It is available. It is simple. It sounds like this. No. That is the whole video. Leave me a comment. Tell me, was there a moment, a small, ordinary moment, when you first saw someone do something you had not known you were allowed to do? Tell me what that felt like. Subscribe to Beyond the Bonnet. Every week, one more thing that was always yours.